What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Tinted Visors podcast. We are hitting you with season 2, episode 1. It's been about a year since we've done this, so we're going to give season 1 a sequel. With that being said, we're going to change the format around just a little bit. So at the end of the video, let us know whether you liked the changes, and let's get things going. One thing we're not changing is card of the day, and we're going to hit you guys with that right now. For mine, we're going to go with a guy who re-signed this offseason. We're going to go with Quinton Byfield, a World Juniors patch auto. You know me, I love my World Juniors auto cards. That's from the 2020 set. That's when they won the gold medal. He didn't have a big role that year, but he's certainly blossomed the past couple of seasons with LA, and he's going to be a big piece for them moving forward. That's my card of the day. Super sick design. And the black jerseys, I really like those. Even over the red ones, I like the look of the black ones. But yeah, that's my card of the day.
Yeah, those black jerseys are clean, and I love how he's rocking the fishbowl in that picture. You know, really just shows that he's in his junior days in that picture, and of course, the 3-color patch just puts it all together. My card of the day, a guy we're going to talk about later in this episode, we have a Brock Besser Young Guns. It is a BGS 9, so not the greatest grade. 3 subgrades at a 9, and the edges are at a 9.5. But yeah, Brock Besser, huge breakout year this year, and showed up when it mattered most in the playoffs. Had himself a great playoff campaign, and yeah, hopefully he can, keep the pace he had last year, 40 goal scorer. I'm not sure he'll be able to keep it up, but we'll see this upcoming season.
Yeah, it's a sweet card. It's kind of funny, like BGS goes from gold at 9.5 to a silver with 9, so the color's not the coolest, but it's a sweet card, and yeah, we're going to touch on him later, more specifically about his contract.
Getting right into the content today, what better way to start off a new season than to start with some hot takes. Kenny and I have both prepared one hot take for a team, one for a player, and then one for just anything in general with hockey. So Kenny, we're going to start with the team hot takes. What is your hot take for a team this season?
Yeah, I'm going to preface it by saying it's not the hottest, probably like lukewarm or something, but, I did really bad at the start of last season given my hot takes. So we're not doing too well, so we're gonna go a little calmer this year. But for my official hot take, we're gonna go, I think I've told you this, the Leafs first place in the Atlantic Division.
Leafs, so you think they do better than the Bruins and the Panthers?
I think both of those teams did not get as improved as the Leafs this offseason. Yeah. You look at the team, I mean, the contracts that they gave out this year, it's not the greatest term-wise and money-wise, but those players are good. Chris Tanev is going to help them. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, it's going to help them. They had that one problem with defense that they had to address this offseason, and they went out and they did that. They brought in Tanev, they brought in Ekman-Larsson, very solid defensemen. And I think when you add those to the plethora of offensive talent that they have, I think this team is going to be, the team to beat in that division. You look at Boston, you look at Florida. Yeah, they did bring in some players, but I think Florida got, significantly worse. And then Boston, they bring in Lindholm and Zadorov. But I think going up against Toronto, I think Toronto's got the edge. They're one of the best regular season teams the past 3-4 years. They're one of the more consistent regular season teams. Anything can happen in the playoffs. That's not part of my prediction. They can go out, they can get swept in the first round. I don't care. But my hot take is that the Leafs will finish first in that division.
Wow, that's starting off pretty hot. Maybe that's lukewarm to some, but the Leafs, just with the goaltending, that's my biggest concern with that take is, is Joe Woll really the answer between the pipes, and can he lead that Leafs team to a 1 seed? But yeah, going on to my hot take for a team, I have disaster striking in Winnipeg, and they are going to be sellers at the deadline, and they're going to miss the playoffs this year.
You know what? I like that. Yeah. I really do. I honestly, yeah, I had some ideas about Winnipeg not doing so well, so I like that one.
I mean, yeah, just the logic behind it. Like Hellebuck coming off the Vezina year, I think, there's nowhere to go but down. I don't think he can season, especially with that super shaky decor in front of him. And the Nikolai Ehlers rumors, he's got 1 year left. And you look at Kyle Connor, he also only has 2 years left. So yeah, I think disaster strikes. I don't think anything goes right for Winnipeg, and they are sellers come February.
Yeah, honestly, I really like that take. The one thing that's just uncertain about them is that they could make a couple moves this offseason. They still got to deal with Perfetti and McGroarty, so we will see. But, you're right. Looking at the roster now, there's nowhere but down for them to go. Moving on to player, a lot of people are going to be focused on Bedard, and obviously I will be too, but I'm going to go with the second overall pick, and I'm going to go with Leo Carlsson getting 65 to 70 points this season. I think he breaks out really early in his career.
That's a pretty hot take, but I actually really like that. In that Anaheim Ducks team, he has the help there for sure. I think he could explode as that line one center. That's a great take.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at who they got on the wing. You've got Cutter Gauthier, you've got Troy Terry, Zegras, maybe McTavish. Not all of those guys are going to have great years, but I guarantee some of them will. And if you plug Carlson in the middle, in between two of those guys, that he's going to rack up the points. I said 65 points, so I would say, 25 goals, maybe 40 assists. I'm going to err on the side of caution, go with 65 versus 70, just because last year didn't go so well for my hot takes. But yeah, give me Leo Carlson, 65 points this season.
So yeah, just moving on to my player hot take for this upcoming season. Jumping up a little bit, just considering what this guy's career high is for points. But it's going to be that Jack Eichel manages to stay healthy and he pops off, exploding for 100 points for the first time in his career.
That is hot. That is hot. I could see it happening, and he is going to be their main guy. But damn, 100 points. That's a lot.
I think the biggest thing is just him staying healthy. Vegas lost a lot of star power up front with Marchessault and Stevenson both walking in the offseason. So they need a hero, they need a star, and if Eichel can stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit for him. I'm huge on him this year. I think he breaks 100.
Yeah, it's going to be one to watch. He's going to be their main guy, and we'll see how much Stone plays this season. But yeah, if Eichel could stay healthy, he could rack up the points for sure. We have one more category. We just got any sort of random category. I'm gonna go with if they have a early playoff exit or if they miss the playoffs entirely, one of John Cooper or Brisebois will be moved away from by the team.
So you're betting against your own team right now. Is that what I'm
No, no,
hearing?
no, no. I'm saying if they have an early
Oh.
exit or if they miss the playoffs, I cannot see that tandem of John Cooper and Julian Brisebois staying on for the next season.
So do you want to see one of them fired, or do you just think one of them's going to be gone?
I just think, I think the direction that team will go, if they miss the playoffs, I don't think they're making it the year after.
Right.
So I think John Cooper, as a winning coach, I think he's going to want something different. And, Brisebois made a bunch of ballsy decisions this year. And if it doesn't pay off and they can't improve, with that Gensel and letting Stamkos walk, I think a lot of fans are going to be calling for his head. And I think, management could make a decision and move on from him. But I can't see those two sticking around if Tampa has a failure of the season.
Wow. It's pretty. I don't know how hot that is, but that would shake up the league for sure. John Cooper, one of the best coaches in the league, arguably, and has had a ton of success with that Lightning team. So for my any hot take, I kind of just mixed the two, kind of like a player and a team thing, kind of combined. And I think this one is my hottest take. So the any hot take is a healthy Jack Hughes absolutely explodes this year. He goes nuclear. He pots 50 goals and 120 points. And he's going to lead the New Jersey Devils to the 1 seed in the Metro.
That is definitely the hottest take of all six of them so far. 50 goals, 120
Yeah.
points. You think they can beat out the Rangers and the Hurricanes then?
I think if everything goes right in New Jersey and backed by a Jack Hughes who is going to look unstoppable this year, I think they can leapfrog both. And they finished, what, like 7th in the division this year? Like, they are coming for it all. They're going to go for the 1 seed. The playoffs aren't included, like you said, about the Leafs, so who knows what happens after that. But I'm super excited to watch this young Devils squad.
Damn, damn. Those are some hot takes. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you guys agree or if you have any hot takes of your own. Sticking with the predictions theme, we're going to go with top three teams that missed the playoffs who we think will make the playoffs this upcoming season, and vice versa. Top three teams who made it last year who we don't think is going to repeat and make it back this upcoming season. Caden, give me your top three that missed and you think will make this upcoming season.
Well, backed by that hot take, I think the first team I say is pretty obvious. It's going to be the New Jersey Devils. I think they, are comfortably in the playoffs this year. Next, another team that was very active this offseason, the Ottawa Senators. I think, in a strong Atlantic division, it might be kind of a sneaky one, but I think backed by Linus Ullmark, the goaltender they've needed, they make it into the playoffs as well. And then finally, a little bit even hotter, the Seattle Kraken. I think, with the additions of Chandler Stevenson, Brandon Montour, and hopefully the emergence of that superstar they need in Matty Beniers, they could squeak into the playoffs in a very weak Pacific division.
Wow, they just got hotter and hotter and hotter. Ottawa, obviously they just disappoint me every single season. They always get my hopes up and they can never make it. Seattle, I could see happening. LA and Vegas, I think they're taking steps back, so I could see Seattle squeaking in there. For me, top one, completely agree with you. New Jersey, I think last year was just a one-off. So I could see them making it back. And like you said, top three I think is a lock for them. Going on to my number two team, it's the Atlantic Division as well, but I'm going to go with Detroit. I think they just need to figure out their defense, but I think they have all the right pieces to make it. Very, very deep offensive core. I'm not sure why they needed to bring in Tarasenko. I think they had enough depth already, and they could have used that money for a defenseman, maybe even just keep Jake Wallman. And then my number three team, honestly, I didn't really know who to say, so I kind of went with the St. Louis Blues. They're just a perennial team to make the playoffs. They missed out this season. And, I think some bounce back seasons from guys like Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, maybe that aging decor can sort of bring it back. And Jordan Binnington had a great season last year, so maybe he can repeat that. And I think they could squeak into like a fourth, maybe a fifth seed if they take two from the Central Division.
Out of the three teams you said, and honestly any team that missed the playoffs last year in general, which team do you see making the deepest run? Do you see any of them making it out of the first round next year?
It's got to be New Jersey. I think that team is just built to go deep. We saw glimpses of it when they went up against the Rangers, made it pass, and then was quick. They were made quick work of in the second round. So I think, if a full season of Jacob Markstrom, we bring in guys like Nemec, Luke Hughes, some bounce back seasons from a guy like Andre Palat, even Dougie Hamilton if he's healthy, I think they can go very deep.
Going on to the flip side, Kenny, teams that found success last year that aren't going to find that same success this year, who are your top three teams that made the playoffs last year, who you think are going to miss this season?
Yeah, so I wanted to pick one from the Pacific. I kind of flip-flopped between the two, ended up going with the LA Kings. Just a lot of weird mismanagement of some assets, with that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, bringing in Darcy Kemper. I just don't think that's the right move. They keep running it back with the same core over and over and over again, and they keep running into Edmonton and falling out. So I could see them just falling out of the playoffs completely and not even making it in the first place. Not sure who would take their spot, maybe just five from the Central and three from the Pacific, but I could see LA. Number two team, like you mentioned earlier, I got the Winnipeg Jets. I think they could fall really, really hard this season and even fall out of the playoff spot. And then last on the list, I've got the New York Islanders. With the work that Washington did and New Jersey, I think they can both squeak in, and that would force the Islanders out in the Metropolitan Division.
So just to recap,
The LA Kings, Winnipeg Jets, and the New York Islanders. You got the same?
those are all three teams that I picked as well.
Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
But yeah, like it just comes down to the Winnipeg Jets, like I said in the hot takes, maybe moving on from Ehlers, and I could see them moving on from Kyle Connor within this year or next. And the Islanders, just no depth up front, really. They have that first line, they signed Duclair, but after that, like really, who's stepping on the ice? And, they'll get a bounce back year from Sorokin, I would imagine, who could drag them back to the playoffs. But yeah, hope not. They're a very mediocre team in the New York Islanders. And finally, the Kings, like you said, first round exit the past 3 seasons to the Edmonton Oilers. Kemper-Rittich tandem, not a huge fan of it. Yeah, I know you weren't a fan of Talbot-Rittich last year. Why would anybody be a fan of Kemper-Rittich? And then, 2 of their best vets, Kopitar and Doughty, are not getting any younger. So we're gonna see some regression out of the 2 of them for sure.
Next topic on the list. Start off, Travis Konecny signs an 8-year extension at $8.75 million. That'll start after this season, where he's got 1 year left at $5.5 million. He was picked 1 pick right after Brock Besser in the 2015 draft. Very similar situations, very similar players. Caden, what does that Konecny deal mean for Brock Besser's upcoming free agency after the season?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Besser's year last year, had a career year, scored the 40 goals. And, if he's able to have any season like that, Besser's camp is going to be comparing him very closely to Konecny. As you mentioned, they are very similar players. And, Besser's going to want similar amounts of money. With that being said, Besser had a career year last year, and, he kind of got lucky. I am a Canucks fan, but he had a career high in his shooting percentage. He shot 19.6% last year. And if you take away that number, his career average before 18.2%. So that's about a 6% uptick in, his shots going in. It's not sustainable. I think he is definitely due for some regression. At the same time, he had 73 points last year compared to Konecny's 68 points. So they are very similar players. So next season, I could see Besser performing similarly or, a little bit worse than Konecny. And I could still see him getting, anywhere between $8 to $9 million, especially with the cap rising.
So you think they should get it done, as soon as possible, and then, you don't have to risk him having another career year and then having, a $2 million upgrade by next season? Or do you think, like you said, maybe he has some regression, maybe you wait it out if his production falls, then you can get him for cheaper at the end of the season?
I think you wait, honestly. I don't think that shooting percentage is sustainable whatsoever. And that, that could come back and bite the Canucks in the ass. He could have another great year and demand even more money. But yeah, I would like to see them wait. He's still, our first line winger, and he's still going to show up in the playoffs, so he's still going to demand a pretty penny. But I think it will be better for the Canucks if they decide to wait until this upcoming year to negotiate an extension.
Bit of a more funny question, but do you think agents talk? Like, do you think Besser's agent's going to TK's agent and saying, what did you say in negotiations? Like, how did you get that money? Or do you think like do you even think he's like going to PD's agent and he's saying like, how did you get Alvin to fold? Like, what kind of tricks do I play? How much hardball can I play?
Oh, dude, that's actually a really good question. I guess it kind of just depends on the agents and their relations with each other. Like, I would imagine, some of these guys, they talk to each other. They've known each other for a while just from being around players around the league and whatnot. Maybe went to school together. Who knows, right? But I think it's similar to players talking. Just whether they're buddies off the ice. Whatever connections that they may have. But that's a funny thing to think about, actually. Besser's agent going up to Petey's agent and trying to figure out Alvin to get Besser the best deal. That's actually pretty funny. So, how much do you think Besser signs for if he were to sign right now?
Right now, I was gonna say like 7.5, 8 years. Um, Only because, the situation is different in Vancouver in the sense that they're winning games, they're winning playoff series. So, I mean, all Alvin needs to say is, take a little pay cut and we can win some cups, whereas, TK and Philadelphia, they're not winning anytime, chase the bag, right? But I think, like you said, if he has a career year, I think that price tag kind of jumps by like at least 1 million in the sense that you're reaching basically the same contract as TK if you wait it out and he scores, 40 goals, 80 points this season.
Yeah, it's especially with the Canadian tax. Like, I know Konechny can kind of chase the bag because they're not winning in Philly. But look at Sam Reinhart, right? Like, what, 57 goals last year, won the cup. A little different because he won the cup, and obviously the no state tax in Florida probably played a factor. But Reinhart signed the full 8 years for an AAV of 8.625. So totally took a pay cut. We were expecting anywhere between 9, 10 million, even more for Reinhardt if he decided to walk. So yeah, I think a lot depends on how Besser enjoys Vancouver, if he really believes in that group in that locker room, and how much money he wants at the end of the day, really.
It's funny that you say like if he enjoys Vancouver because I was thinking like this could be pretty similar to Matthew Tkachuk, right? An American guy playing in a Canadian market, getting that sort of bridge deal type contract instead of like that full 8 years that they should have signed him right out of the ELC. You know what I mean? Like if they had signed Kachuk right out of the ELC 8 years, he would have got the captaincy. They would have probably kept Goudreau. That's always a worry with American players in the Canadian market, but hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we can sign him to 8 years. Personally, I would hope 7.5. I feel like that's fair, especially if he wants to win some cups in the next couple seasons.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be too high. I think 7.5, especially with the cap going up, is a dream for Besser. So we'll have to wait and see for, I guess, this season or next off season.
Yeah, guys, that wraps up the content. Kept it a little short for you guys in the new season, the new era of the TVP. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if this is something you want us to continue. I think we both enjoyed that episode a lot more than previous ones, so I think we're going to stick to that. We're going to come out with a lot of stuff on social media. We're going to do some roster predictions. We're going to do, some more trivia stuff, so keep tuned. Make sure you follow that and check that out. But until next week, we will see you guys later. Gun you down. Oh, she wild inside emoji. Oh, you got a frown. Tomato to my haters. Hope you get lost.